Hi, and welcome to the Workplace Essentials Wellbeing series. I'm Mari Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this expert interview where we explore topics that impact employee well-being. My guest today is Kathy Greer. Kathy is the founder and chairman of KGA Inc., a Massachusetts-based employee assistance company. Kathy provides leadership to the KGA team while working on business development, acquisitions, and marketing. She earned a BS in management from Babson College and a master's in education in counseling from Northeastern University. Kathy, I'm so excited to have you here with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Mari. I'm delighted to be here.
Great, thanks. So today we're exploring the topic of employee assistance programs. For a long time now, employee assistance programs have played a very important role in the well-being of employees. So Kathy, I'm curious, there's a lot of concern about the impact of mental health and substance abuse issues on overall well-being. Have you noticed a change?
Yes, great question. There's a lot more data that's come out to really support what you just said, that there is a huge connection between behavioral health issues and medical spending, as well as good research on the impact of mental health issues on productivity. So both of those are fairly new. Just in the last few years, we've seen great data. So an example might be just looking at the impact of stress on medical claims. And they're now, when we think about some of the more serious, larger spending in the medical claims area, for example, heart disease or diabetes, there's a real connection, a stress connection, so that if people have depression or anxiety or perhaps a substance use disorder, those are going to be driving those medical claims even higher than they already are.
Right. Interesting. So is stress one of the things that you see as being, one of the top drivers of reasons employees are calling, an EAP type service? So what are you seeing as some of the real concerns that employees are needing and seeking help for?
Sure. Yeah, and I'm using the term stress very broadly.
Okay.
As you can imagine how many things can create discomfort for someone that they might reach out and call an employee assistance program. So what we're finding is that there are a lot of calls that come in about people who are looking for counseling, and they don't know where to start. They're not sure if they need it or not, and they need some place to turn. So the EAP is a great place for that, because when it's set up in an employer, it doesn't cost the employee anything, and it's available 24/7. So the EAP really is a program that is always there to help provide service to someone. And it's not something you can find on the open market. There isn't any comparison. You really have to work for a company that has a good EAP to get good service. So, we get calls for both emotional distress and also work-life issues. So, for example, someone might call because they have a depression and they're not sure whether they might benefit from seeing a psychologist or getting medication, and they're in a lot of discomfort and pain. They're not really at their peak productivity point, and they're scared. So that could be a very common call. We have people calling with marital issues, legal problems, financial problems, just about everything that you can think of. And we have a whole team of work-life specialists that can help people find resources when they need it.
It's interesting. I think there is some misconception, perhaps, about the services that are available from an EAP. And I think people just think of it sort of the traditional way that, your industry grew up, from substance abuse and mental health issues. And in reality, you offer services on a whole range of topics, almost more concierge, help me find a way to solve whatever, fill in the blank problem is.
That's true, Mari. It's really grown. The industry kind of was born back in the 40s, and it was specifically around substance abuse. But in the 70s, when everyone became more aware of the impact of stress, then the EAP became someplace that you could really bring almost any issue. So we have a combined EAP and work life program for a very specific reason, and that's because we know that people don't usually show up with just one problem. They usually have some practical issues that need to be solved, as well as perhaps some emotional support needed. So by having a whole range of services and specialists, we can help people through whatever that situation is that they're facing. So it really is very broad. You mentioned concierge. We try to stay away from that word only because it implies that we might get people movie tickets or theater tickets or trips, and that's the one thing we don't do, but we do almost anything else. People call us for all kinds of reasons, and it might be as simple as we're moving, we need a mover, we don't know where to start, we don't know what we should be looking for, and we have work-life specialists that will find them some choices of movers, tell them how much it's going to cost, give them some tips, and it's really helpful.
Well, it's interesting because, if you think about all of the things, you use the term stress, and that's a broad term, and understandably, you think about all of the things in our lives. I think moving is just such a great example. Think about the stress that puts on an individual and their family, and, how it takes them away from their ability to focus on work and be productive in the workplace. So it makes perfect sense to me that these are the kinds of services that people can call about, because it really does impact their whole life.
Right. And, we hear amazing stories every day. We had a woman call who was a very pretty senior manager who had a very important project going on, and her partner got a breast cancer diagnosis, stage 4. And so she was looking at how am I going to figure out all the second opinions we need, all the support we might need at home, and what am I going to say to my boss? He's under a lot of pressure with this project. And so by calling the EAP, she was able to get some reassurance and coaching about how to have that conversation with her manager, and also get some real advice on resources that she could take advantage of. So, for instance, she and her partner needed a different childcare arrangement during the time that she would be getting treatment, and so we were able to help find that option for them and make sure our researchers will check availability and how much is that going to cost, and do some of the legwork, make some of the phone calls so she could focus on the ones that she needed to really focus on. So that's just an example of complicated cases that come in. We often will get a divorce situation where someone needs emotional support, but they also need to talk to an attorney, and they don't know where to start, or they may need a financial planner to talk to. So there are lots of really complicated situations that people are trying to cope with.
Yeah, it really sounds like that's, to me, it's just such a tremendous reassurance that for someone to be able to know that they have someone they can call, they can get the support they need, they can get in touch with the kinds of specialists or, individuals, specialty services that they really need. So, Kathy, I'm so delighted to have this conversation with you today, because I just firmly believe that the services that your organization provides to employees is so fundamental and important to their well-being. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity to chat. And if our audience wants to learn a little bit more about your services or about EAPs in general, how can they find out more about your organization?
Well, we'd love to hear from them. They can reach out to us through our website, which is kgreer.com. And they can also email at info@kgreer.com to find out more. We'd love to hear from people.
Great. Well, thanks so much for being here. Delighted as always to spend time with you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.